Pregame.com.
All right, Fez, I'm back in another big home underdog in week 1 of college football. This is Brad Powers in Pregame.com studios just off the Vegas Strip, and summer is officially here, and we're talking college football, which is just a little bit more than 2 months away. Good Conference USA American Athletic Conference matchup, Houston at UTSA in week 1.
Well, summer is here weather-wise. We're not at the solstice yet. UTSA, Conference USA sleeper. Who do you like?
I actually like the home dog, UTSA, in this one, catching the points, and in fact, they're catching plus 14.5. The early money is already on UTSA. You want to make sure you catch it before it continues to drop. But let's talk about their opponent, Houston, who I think continues to be overrated. When you think Houston, you probably think of the Cougars crushing Oklahoma in last year's opener. Also, at the end of last season, they host Louisville in a big ESPN Thursday night game. They pummel Lamar Jackson, the eventual Heisman Trophy winner, crushed that team. But the reality is, folks, this was an underachieving team last year. In fact, in their last 8 games, only went 1-7 against the number. But why I continue to think there is some value on Houston, markets are much slower to adjust on Group of 5 schools than they are your SEC teams, your Big Ten teams. That's why I think they're overrated, and there's some value on the home underdog here.
Tom Herman became a red-hot coach, took the top 5 job at University of Texas, leaving Houston. How's Houston looking in 2017?
Not too bad here. 15 returning starters. The big starter that they have to replace is at quarterback. Greg Ward Jr. was a 3-4-year starter for him, one of the best players in school history. They're all right in that position because they get a transfer from Texas A&M, Kyle Allen. They got one of the best defensive tackles in college football, Ed Oliver. But the concern that I have is they have a new coach. It's Major Applewhite, who was the offense coordinator here last year, but I got to be honest with you, Fez, his first game as head coach wasn't a great look. The bowl game against San Diego State, props to you. You got in early on San Diego State, and they crushed them. And I think I'd rather play against Houston early on in the season as they're adjusting than playing against them late in the year.
Let's talk power ratings. I know you got every single team power rated right now. Where does this game stand?
Well, I got Houston about 12 points better on a neutral field. I got Houston borderline top 50 team. I do think they take a step back from where they've been the last couple of years. UTSA is a rising team. Maybe 2 years ago, at a bottom 10 team in the country. Now I think they're probably better than 30 or 40 teams. This is a team that went to a bowl game last year, actually played well in that bowl game against New Mexico. So when you take the 12-point difference on a neutral, factor in the 3 points of home field advantage, which I'm giving UTSA here. My line on the game is 9, so obviously a big 5.5-point difference.
Right. Houston fast-paced team, so I expect the total be a little bit above the college football norm of like 57, maybe that 9. We might want to normalize it up 10.5, still well below the current spread.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And again, a key here is, because they both teams run a little bit more up-tempo. Again, I think that the key here is getting above the 2 touchdowns because Houston defensively, backdoor is always wide open.
Your second key handicap.
Let's talk about UTSA. I think a team that continues to be underrated. Let's take it back. If you don't know anything about UTSA football, 2014 and 15, they had some high expectations because they came in strong to the FBS. This is only their 7th year of playing, but they completely underachieved those 2 seasons. They bring in a new coach last year, so there's an adjustment period, but they really got things going late in the year. 5-1 against the number of their last 6 games, and on average, throughout the whole course of the season, they beat the spread by an average of 8.5 points per game, 3rd best mark in all of college football. And I think, again, I got to emphasize this, markets are much slower to adjust to a Group of 5 team than a Power 5 school.
And I got to tell you, I love the little brother against big brother. Last year, Houston gets all the ESPN coverage, all the media coverage. UTSA gets none of it, so now they get a team in their state coming to their crib, and also they play in the Alamo Dome, and you've done some research. It's a real good location venue for them, right?
Yeah, it is, and they have past experience of at least rising up to the level of competition. This isn't new for them playing a legitimate team. A couple years ago, they hosted Arizona, lost the game by 3. Heck, take it back last year. They had Arizona State dead in the water as a 3-touchdown underdog, almost pulled the outright upset there. And it's also a team went on the road, SEC, last year at Texas A&M, only lost by 13. So I'm fully confident that they can play at Houston's level, or at least up to them for a majority of the game.
I'm a Northwestern grad. I have very bad memories of the Alamo Dome, where we met our Alamo against Nebraska Nebraska years ago in a bowl game. Let's make it official.
Yeah, Eric Crouch was running for touchdowns in Fezzik's head all night. Yep, let's make this one official. UTSA plus 14.5 is your pick. Houston, their opponent, vastly overrated. Too much respect given continually the Houston's win over Oklahoma, Louisville last year. Reality is this team was 1-7 against the number the last 8 games they played, and the markets are very slow to adjust. Speaking of slow to adjust, I don't think they've adjusted high enough and taken into consideration this UTSA team, which is underrated. 5-1 against the number of their last 6 games, and they're even better this year. Add it all up, value on the home underdog UTSA plus 14.5. More videos at pregame.com.